Sam, there's more.
Ouchie!
Oh. Here. Here, put them all here. Good job. My name is Jonathan Ayers, and my 8-year-old son, Sam, is autistic. You're standing. Look at you. I was there at the ultrasound, and she announced, I think she slipped and said, "Oh, there he is." So it was, cat was out of the bag, and I was, oh, that's son, and you know, you get some foresight of what life could be with your son, and what you can think what you're going to be doing: baseball, football, fishing. He hasn't had an interest in fishing yet. 3 years ago, I made him his first fly rod. It's something that I really want to do with my own son. But we really didn't know what to expect with developing. We saw some things that weren't there, such as his speech. His speech was limited to, you know, just a few words. Do you want to put crackers?
Of course you can. I can do it.
What color's teeth? I went into the room, and there were about 4 or 5 specialists there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We went through a series of tests and interviews. And that afternoon, they came back with the assessment that our son had autism. We said, why us? As well as, what did we do? We started thinking of, I may have brought this on to Sam, or Michelle was thinking the same thing. Maybe it was her that brought this on to Sam. What color's pea?
Peach.
The diagnosis is here, Sam's here. It's not helping us figure out why it happened. I didn't know what to expect. I said, okay, what do we do next? What are we going to do to help Sam?
Is she not talking as much as she used to? No, just my imagination. She's fine. And wait a minute, is she really trying to avoid eye contact with me? Nah, it's ridiculous. I'm crazy. She's fine. I noticed that one day when I was pushing her on the swing out back. I was pushing her from the front. And if she would come swinging back towards me, I'd be looking in her adorable little face. She would turn her head to the side, squint her eyes a little, as if to avoid looking into my eyes. And I thought, that's weird. All little kids do some weird stuff sometimes, right? No big deal. Certainly nothing to worry about.
Well, one thing I talk about in my show, as a matter of fact, that my wife was pregnant soon after we got married, and unfortunately that child was my son, and he lived for only 16 hours. He had underdeveloped lungs, couldn't breathe on his own. So with Maria, when my wife was pregnant with Maria, I was kind of reserved and waiting for the other shoe to drop, like what terrible thing's going to happen. Then she was born, healthy and strong, everything's fine, and all my fears and reservations went right out the window as soon as I saw her and held her and fell in love with her.
Say, I love you. Good. How come you have black eyes? The black eyes showing.
You say naughty? Naughty?
My house of cards of denial came crashing down when my wife contacted the Autism Society of America, and she handed me a piece of paper one day that said, if your child has any 8 of the 16 behaviors or symptoms listed here, he or she most likely has autism. and Maria easily had 13. At the moment, that day, I remember it, I just went numb. I didn't know where I was, couldn't think, couldn't see, couldn't speak, couldn't hear. I mustered up 3 words to my wife, is this right? And I could see in her eyes that she was sure and convinced, and my denial days were over. I had to accept it at that point. And then, not knowing anything about autism, I just was overcome with the loss. I just keep reliving it. It's like I lost her. Then we like to fix things, Tell me what's wrong, here's what we'll do, we'll fix this. But I couldn't fix this.
It was surreal. It was amazing to see the whole. It was like this whole, 20 hours of just preparation and awaiting the arrival of your first child and not knowing the gender and all that. But when it finally happened, it was like, oh, it was such a miracle that I even really realized it was a boy until like a minute later, practically, because it was such an amazing experience through the birth of our son, Nathan.
Could love someone, I could show you how, but not right now, not right now, not right now.
Hi there. Yeah, basically I'd like to, hello, okay. I'd like to say I'm the proudest and happiest guy around right now. Our little baby, there he is. He's absolutely gorgeous. Healthy, 8-pound, 1 ounce, bundle of joy.
Well, when it's your first child, you don't have anything to compare it to. And so we didn't really know at first. He did these really cute little things. We called it his little Popeye face, where he'd shut his eye and squint at you, even at a very early age. He wasn't, now that I look back on everything, knowing what I know today, it's much more obvious what he was doing, and he was stimming in some fashion.
Hi. What are you looking at?
My brother came to me and said, you might want to have your Nathan checked out again because he might be on this autism spectrum. And that was really the first time that I had heard anybody say the word autism to us. And I could feel my heart sink at that moment because I wasn't really sure, what that meant. It seemed like from that moment, everything changed and how our life with him might possibly be different.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We kind of got blindsided by it. Everything was happening slower than our friends that had children of similar age, and wasn't talking much. He wasn't potty trained, and they got us together and said, "We think your son is autistic," and that didn't go over very well. Naturally, I'm embarrassed. I exploded. I just. Yeah, there were people who didn't want to be around me because I was so angry.
I can't explain. I just need to do things my own way.
Probably in serious denial. Angry. They had no idea what they were talking about. I'd seen Rain Man. I knew what autism was. Obviously I didn't.
'Cause this heart of mine pulls into directions at the same time.
Eventually, you know, the light came on and it's like, hey, this is true. In that period, we had a different doctor diagnose him and say, hey, he's not autistic, he's gonna grow out of these things. And of course, we were riding an emotional high, or just a huge roller coaster in those early years. And then with some realizations and some help from other people, it just hit. And it was a really, really tough year, you know, it just.
There seems to be more denial in the beginning, especially, so that mom and dad, and it's classic, when you have a child with disability, the chances of separating as a couple are much higher than in the general population. You're sitting there, you're hoping that all those signs you've seen are not true. As soon as you hear your child has autism, it's really hard to listen to anything that comes after. But it seems like the conversation is a little easier than it was, because as a society, it's so much more common. Nobody doesn't have a child, in their school at least, who has autism. It's common language now. There's so much more awareness, so much more support, and it's not the end of things, it's just a different path.
Wave, say cheese! Cheese!
Say love you, Grandma!
Oh!
What did he do?
He burped.
Ew.
Oh yeah. What do you say? You did good. Give me 5.
Both my wife and I had discussed what we should do, and one of the first things that we did was hit the internet and, you know, start doing searching on autism therapy. And a lot of the information that came up referenced applied behavior analysis, ABA. We started looking at therapy schools, therapists.
You need water. The plants need water. Let's do 3 plants. 1, 2, 3. Let's water 3 plants.
Don't walk.
Come here.
It is a difficult thing, and we did have some trying times, but it wasn't about me saying, oh, I can't do this. It was a stressful period for my wife and I, and that came out as conflicts between each other.
You know, we had heard a statistic back then that approximately 80% of marriages failed when there's a very special needs child like Maria involved. 80%. But we've always considered our marriage to be forever, you know, so that was never an option with us. I mean, there were tough days and tough nights, and there were, you know, remarks and frustrations and, you know, fatigue and exhaustion, and we may have, you know, butted heads and so forth. But that statistic kind of scared us, too. So we kind of pulled together. My focus, and I'm sure Laureen's, my wife's, was on Maria so much. I mean, I would think about myself and, you know, maybe have a pity party because I was so tired and so burdened and so overwhelmed. It wasn't so much of a why me as a I can't deal with this kind of thing. This is too much. But our focus always was on Maria, trying to keep her safe. So we were always on edge, you know, with her. That was the main focus, just dealing with it day to day.
Is that fun?
That's very great.
Nathan, can you wave?
You already called it.
You wave bye-bye?
Hi.
Nate, you say hi?
Are you hungry?
Nathan,
Are you hungry?
say hi?
There was definitely a time at first, you know, what's our role in this? What are we gonna do? It's such a helpless feeling. He's not You know, he's not communicating. He's not, you know, what's going to happen down the road. Is he going to live on his? Is he going to be able to live on his own? Is he going to be able to have a job? Is he going to be able to have friends of his own? There's a lot of that feeling. Nathan is such a wonderful kid that everybody loves. That it's never been a. I've never had a why me moment of, you know, why did this happen to me? I just feel like we're just blessed to have him. And so we were picked somehow to have him and be the ones that have him. And everybody he touches, everybody that he's with, loves him. At first I did adjust my expectations, but as I've grown with Nathan as my son, and now he's almost 12 and, you know, almost 9 years with this diagnosis, I don't want to really put limits on him on what he can and can't do.
My wife and I have been married for 19 years now, and we say we have 18 good years of marriage, and one almost killed us. You know, it took a huge toll on our family. I mean, early on, gosh, when you don't know what they need and you don't know what they're thinking, those are really frustrating times because you want to be able to help and you can't. You don't know how. We decided we're going to try and learn everything about Jack and learn how it affects him, because Jack's autism is different than another kid's autism and another kid's. And, you know, we had to learn how it affected him and how to work with him. I've just seen a lot of friends run themselves ragged trying to figure out autism, when in all reality, you only have to figure out one child. And the reward of figuring out one child that happens to be your child is fantastic.
Even when a family suspects, it's still a pretty big blow to the family, because it does shake what families thought was going to be family life in the future, and it, you know, brings up a lot of questions for what's going to happen to this child, you know, now and long term. You know, you have dreams and hopes for your family that then have to be, you have to think about them in a different way.
Good. We have 3 plants, Sam. Come here. We almost got this one. That one, and then that one. Then all done.
There were some difficulties early on, some things that we just wouldn't even attempt to do. Going to the grocery store with Sam was difficult. When he was young, too young for him to be running around, we would carry him. And he would not allow us to talk to the grocery clerk. If we spoke to the grocery clerk, he would hit our face, yell. I've got a case of tinnitus from it. Restaurants were not even an option. So yeah, there were some things that we didn't think about early on when we received the diagnosis on what we would not be doing now.
I had to learn, kind of regroup and get my joy and satisfaction from and with Maria in different ways. Just loving her and serving her, whatever that meant. And it was kind of a day-by-day learning experience as we went along, because her behaviors came and left and changed and got more challenging and less, and then more challenging again. So it was kind of, you know, you're doing it on the run, by the seat of your pants, kind of. Every day you wake up, what's today going to be like with her?
At first he got the diagnosis, it was like, okay, we got to protect him, and when we go out and he acts out and someone asks him, you know, how are you doing today? And he doesn't answer, I've got to explain to that person, oh, he has autism. Oh, he has autism. I was constantly making excuses for him and constantly backing him or saying, you know, this is why he's doing this.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
It's very hard. There's a lot of times where you go to bed at night thinking, you know, is what's going to happen if I'm gone, if my wife's gone? There's a lot of tough times that you have to almost go through a mourning stage where you lost the child that you thought you'd have. And there's a time where you have to mourn for the child that you didn't think you'd have. But that's not to insult what you have, because Nathan gives us joy and gives us special moments that I remember waiting until he was almost 7 years old before he said Mommy and Daddy. I mean, the patience and the feeling that having that. And then I'd come home from work and he'd run up to me and say, Daddy's home, or whatever he's saying. It was beautiful.
It was hard. It was definitely hard. I mean, there have been times when we have not understood his outbursts. We've been asked to leave restaurants because we couldn't control our child, and we're sitting there thinking, I have no idea what to do to get him back, and that kind of stuff hurts. But you learn to work with him, and now the older he's become, the easier it is to communicate with him.
Your normal kids, you show them you love them by playing ball with them, or having a tea party with your daughter. That's how you show them you love them. You do stuff with them, you take time. Well, with a child with autism, you just do it differently. You're there for them when they wake up, when they're having a tantrum or doing something weird in public or what have you, making weird sounds and freaking people out. You deal with it and you help them through it, and you help other people, not freak out so much. I talk about the things that have gotten my wife and I through all this for the last 17, 18 years. And one of the key components is a sense of humor. And Maria has always done very uniquely funny things in public. I'm thinking about a time, when Maria in the supermarket and she breaks free and goes squealing high-pitched as loud as she can, skipping down an aisle, and people's jaws drop. And as I'm walking to get her, as I'm passing these people, I just say, that's okay. She just heard Cocoa Puffs are on sale. She's really excited. What are you gonna do? And then, sorry. If you tell them she has autism, then they feel really bad.
Parenting a child with autism, as you already know, is tough work, and trying to figure out what the best avenue is. It takes two people.
Moms and dads' relationships with their kids are just different. And if dad has a thought, maybe it doesn't work with mom. Maybe it's sensory overload when kids with mom because of the dynamics of that relationship. Maybe it works with dad.
Under tent, after water, one plant. One plant left. One plant left. Hey, you're okay. Come here. Come here. Oh, give Dad a squeeze.
My wife and I have recognized when one of us, if I'm having a hard time, my wife recognizes that and she steps in, gives me a break, and I do the same thing.
I'm gonna go right here.
We knew that life would be a lot easier if we had the support of each other. I've had a coworker, had a son that was born just before Sam and was also diagnosed with autism right before Sam. And they went through a divorce. And the struggles that both of them have now, being single parents to a son with autism as well as a younger son. We have seen the other side. I like this side much better.
Say hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Say I love you, Mom.
I love you, Mom. You want the dad.
Oh.
Dad. Want the dad, please? I want the home.
My wife and I have been very supportive of each other, and honestly, my wife is the reason I have the half that good attitude I do, quite honestly, because my wife has a lot better attitude than I do. She always saw things with rose-colored glasses and everything will be fine, it'll be fine, don't worry about it, everything will be great. I was more the practical, oh, well, what about when he's 20 and he wants to live on his own, and can he cross the street without getting hit by a car because he doesn't even realize the traffic's out there. All these other little practical life things that I see by going to work every day, it was very obvious to me that that's going to be a problem and a struggle, where my wife just had the great optimistic outlook on it.
Nene and Daddy. Merry Christmas, Nene. Hi. We love you.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, Nate. I love you.
Oh, hi, Mommy.
Pedal, Nate, pedal.
Push.
Yay! Good job, Nate.
Push.
Push, Nate. Push.
I'm having fun, just
Go, Nate, go. You're so cute.
It got to the point where Janet and I said, hey, this isn't worth it. We've either got to fix it or end it. And neither one of us wanted to end it, but I think we dealt with the grief differently. We just said, hey, we're going to do the best we can with this kid. We are going to do whatever we can to make sure that he has a good life. Now our marriage is phenomenal. Our life with Jack is phenomenal. I have a very good 13-year-old Kyle, who's a good, normal, typically developing kid, and he has a lot of fun. And then there's Jack, who everybody's around, he makes him a better person. So you sit there and think how successful my child has been at age 15. I think he's one of the most successful people in the world. There aren't people out there that are constantly making people better and knocking down doors and opening people's eyes. Jack is one of those people that people just smile when they see him.
One night I heard my daughter Ariana saying her prayers, and she said this: please help me to be as happy as Maria. Does a parent want more for their child than happiness?
The effect a child with autism will have on your other children is unbelievable. Kyle, who's 13 now, he never got to be a younger brother. He's always been the older, younger brother. And you see Kyle at age 4 helping Jack across the street, because Jack will look, wander and not be safe. It's pretty unbelievable how nurturing that person will be.
I think the younger son, Logan, has been one of the best things for Sam. He pushes Sam. He's a great companion for Sam, and Sam learns a lot from Logan. It's been a really good thing for Sam and Logan. We tend to treat the boys equally. We want Sam to become independent as possible, and through that, we're not going to give him any special treatment. Yes, we have to make some approaches in the way that we do our discipline differently, but when Sam does something inappropriately, he may have to do timeout just like his brother did timeout.
At the time, they were all pretty young. I mean, our oldest, Alicia, at that time was probably 6. So it was more like saying, Maria has, I don't even remember how we might have worded it. Maria's just different, and we're going to help Maria, and we love Maria, and we have to take care of Maria. And so, little kids, especially little girls, are all about that, because it's like, I'm a mommy, And I know Alicia for sure just rose up. She was that kind of kid, As a 6-year-old, I'm all about it, I'm going to help Maria. Maria overall has strengthened us over the years, our entire family, all the kids, everyone. I think our family motto is nobody messes with Maria, Our kids will fight with each other and, have blows, come to blows. But boy, you mess with Maria, you better look out because you're going to have a lot of angry Guidos, and you don't want that.
I try to treat Nate the same as I do Jake and Ben, only because I feel he deserves that. Obviously, he can't do a lot of the things his brothers, which are, they're 4 years younger than him, but they're far advanced in almost a lot of things. But I still want to give him the opportunity. The beautiful thing is his brothers really pull that out of him and get him to become involved.
Kyle told us at age 4 that when we die, that Jack can come and live with him. He was 4 years old. And it's pretty unbelievable to have a child who realizes that he has an important role in life, and I love my children, but I have such unbelievable respect for Kyle and what he's gone through, and the stuff where he's had to stick up for his brother in school, and it just very proud of what he's done. I mean, shortly after that, he told us he was going to play for the Mariners too. So, he's just a regular 4-year-old.
Dads are more involved in general than they ever have been before. I mean, I think traditionally moms have always been in the role of being the primary parent, whether it's autism or not. And I think that just dads in general, we're in a really interesting phase of just humanity, I guess. Yeah. That it seems like there's a balance coming that's both parents are equally involved.
Is it gonna pop?
Pop.
Pop, pop.
Pop, pop.
Pop, 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 pop.
A lot of times we get so focused on fixing and therapy, and your entire life becomes this improve, get to typical. That seems to be the misconception, that if we just work a little harder, we won't see any of the symptoms anymore. Will I be able to play catch with my son? I imagined we would, do sports together, build together, or go to see race cars together. But now I have a child that can't stand loud noises. What does that mean as far as my role as a father with my son? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Hi, Nate. Are you in the wheelbarrow? There they go.
As hard as it is and as uncomfortable it is, the dads I've seen that embrace it, do their own research, are so much better able to be a happy, natural parent of this child who's different than they expected.
I feel like I'm just like any other dad, just taking my boys to school, except that I maybe hold his hand a little bit more than maybe the typical 11-year-old. See, I get to hold my kid's hand and walk them around everywhere, where a lot of dads don't get to do that with their kids. The 11-year-old doesn't want to hold their hand, but I get to hold my son's hand. I like that part, that I get to hold his hand and take him to school and just be just a typical dad with 3 kids that are developing a little differently.
I think it's certainly no less important than any other normal child who needs a dad and that influence and so forth. Dads love, dads love big. A lot of times people talk about a mother's love and so forth, and it's real, and I don't, trust me, that's huge. But dads love too.
A father that's not going to give up. A father that's not going to give up on his son, the rest of his family, on himself. It's a difficult time. And there were times where I broke down, let it be at work or at home. A lot of frustration, but you can't give up. You just have to plow through it.
More, please.
Because I knew what my responsibility was, and that was for here with Sam. He needed me to be there for him, and I don't think that I couldn't imagine what it would be like without Sam. The times definitely do get much better, much better.
You know, a lot of times I think dads are maligned because a lot of time the bad examples get the headlines. The guys that didn't stand up and do it right, even though they're tough guys and they drive a big truck, and they go hunting and watch NASCAR, but I ain't dealing with no autistic kid. What the heck? I didn't sign up for that. Well, you're a loser. You're a coward. That child deserves better than you. With Maria, I don't know. I've always felt that I just need to protect her. You know, that's another dad man thing, I guess. Carry the club and leave the cave and make sure everybody's safe. And with Maria, that's really ratcheted up and amplified because, you know, she's susceptible to putting herself in dangerous situations, or, you know, there's times she's run off, and, you know, and I take that responsibility. I'm Maria's bodyguard, you know, take care of her.
20 points to whoever can stay on the bottom of the pool the longest. Deal? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
You know, we started with swimming lessons and wasn't getting it, and you know, he took the basic TOTS class. He took it 11 times. The 11th time he finally had somebody that understood how to teach him. Just a phenomenal person. I remember Janet and I sitting in the parent seating area and realizing that he's going to pass, and we're in tears. You know, 11 times he's finally going to pass, and then he passed advanced TOTS the first time, and the next class the first time, and the next. Now he's just an absolute fish. He cons the lifeguards that he can float on his back for 5 minutes now, and his record's 44 minutes and 44 seconds. So he's won a lot of ice cream sandwiches making bets with the people.
It's hard to get Nathan involved with us because he preferred to just be away from all the action and so it's hard. It's a constant struggle to get him to come and participate with his brothers in games and sports and all that, because it's too much, kind of too much for him. So we do our best, and sometimes he needs that time by himself.
Nate. Hey, Mr. Camera Shy. Hey, Mr. Camera Shy.
Being camera shy.
He's been camera shy for like a year.
Done?
Can you say hi?
Hi.
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 Can you say I love you, Mommy?
I love you, Mommy.
Thank you, Nate.
It is hard. It's hard when you're talking and there's no talking back, or the first word is no every time. That's hard. You know, you want to play a game, no, every time. And so you just try to find creative ways to get him involved.
Kyle succeeds all the time. You know, seeing Kyle do something well, or making a big tackle in his football game, you know, it's fun. Seeing Jack succeed, unbelievable. You know, it's a feeling that it's something that we can have that typically developing parents cannot. They're never going to have that feeling of seeing their kid overcome so much. Kind of glad they're not going to have that, but at the same time, it's unbelievable, the successes.
Come here, Nate. Come here, boys.
I I wouldn't have it any other way though, because I don't see any other option, you know, not being with them and not having them part of my life. So I just do the best I can with the limited amount of time I have during the week. On the weekends, I try to take him places. I probably take him places more than his younger brothers, only because I want to get him out and experience that time with him. His younger brothers seek me out to show me things they've done and experience share. Nathan doesn't do that. So I try to take him places with me to have special moments with him.
Hey Mikey, you like it? Woo! You don't have any expression on your face. Nathan! Hey Nathan! You having fun? Hi Joyce! You having fun? How you doing? You gonna get sick? I liked it more on my own.
There's so much hope for kids with autism, and you know, the numbers being so high today also show the fact that there's a lot of people who are quite functional and working out there in our world that have autism and Asperger's.
If there was a pill that we could give Nathan or some kind of magic wand that we could wave and he would be just neurotypical like my other two boys, would we do it?
My wife and I have had this discussion. If there was a pill that we could give Maria that would cure her and make her normal, would we do it?
I don't want to say that he is autism. I would have a very hard time picturing what he might be without it.
Gone. That quick. And I've heard a lot of people say, no, I wouldn't change him a bit. I wouldn't change him for me. No, I would change him for him.
I suppose we would, but we wouldn't have him anymore. And what he gives us is such joy and such pleasure that we wouldn't have him anymore. So I don't even know if I could, because it wouldn't be him.
We think about how difficult it's been. We've had to alter the way we live our lives to accommodate Maria, you know? But there's a big upside too. And I'll just leave it at that.
Because of who he is, he has captured the hearts of a lot of people. My family, his daycare providers. They're just amazed that this little kid, this package of a kid, has autism. And it would be just very hard to perceive on what he might be without the autism.
When you see the kids move on, that's tough. I read that many autistic people have very happy childhoods and very unhappy adult lives because they struggle with relationships. You know, our worry is Jack gonna ever have a family? Is he ever gonna have relationships? Is he ever gonna live on his own? But yeah, I'd take it away in a heartbeat.
I'm starting to understand. Even my dad had to learn how to be a man.
Well, it's been almost 6 years since we received the diagnosis. And over that period, things have been tremendously much better. He's becoming more independent. We're seeing a glimmer of what his potential could be. When the first time he said that I love you, it was just like jaw-dropping. Because he said it on his own. And so that alone gave us a perception of what he's capable of doing. And don't give up.
Now it's time
to snap
the plants up.
No, he hasn't had an interest in fishing yet. We do go down to the river and we throw rocks and just waiting, yeah. It's gonna be pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the first fish comes up, because neither boy's gonna want to touch that fish.
If you want to really love someone, you serve them. And you'll love that person if you serve them. And I have served Maria when it's been convenient, when it's not, when I thought I could do no more, when I thought I'd done enough. You know, her sweetness, her innocence just compelled me to want to do more for her. She's taught me what being a real man really is. It's a guy who loves and cherishes his wife and kids, and is there for them. He's active. Maria taught me how to put love into action by forgetting myself when I was dead tired, couldn't see straight, and she wakes up at 4 in the morning and I have to get up with her. There's 2 ways to do that. One is, can't believe this, Maria, knock it off. Or, you know, this is bigger than me. She's my daughter. It's what I should want to do. You know, and the sooner you get to that point where, hey, this is an opportunity to serve this sweet little girl that I love with all my heart. It's an opportunity rather than some kind of burden.
I think someone said to me, I remember going somewhere and someone saying, you know, you guys, who here has a child with autism? And we all raised our hand and all that. And she says, you guys are the lucky ones. And it really struck home because it's like, this woman was taking this thing, which we thought was this tragic event in her lives, and she was saying, you guys are lucky to have a child like this because you get to experience things in a whole different route. And yes, you've been thrown a curveball, but there's a way you can find a blessing and find the sunny side up on this situation. So it made me kind of reflect on my position with Nate and my wife's and my role with him, that it's may not be as tragic or as hard as we think. I think the best thing I could do for someone that just recently got this diagnosis and for their child is just listen and talk to them and ask them how they're doing. And it's a hard question to answer.
I've always been okay with the idea if he ends up living with us the rest of his life. I'm fine with that. I think that's great. There are still things we don't understand, and there's still challenges, and I expect those for life. But you know, people like Jack. People like being around him. And Jack will find his niche in the world. I'm not sure what it'll be, but he'll definitely have an impact on people. He melts their heart. Jack absolutely melts their heart, and they root for him to succeed.
I'm committed to my family to be there for my boys. I mean, I couldn't even imagine not being with them. I'm not in the shoes of other people. I know every child is different, every child on the spectrum is different. There's no 2 kids with autism alike. But I can only speak for me, but Nathan and my boys are the joy of my life, and my wife and I mean, this is why I got married and wanted to have kids, is for them. So I couldn't imagine not being there for him, regardless of the disability he has.
I just want to show people and share with people through my own personal experience with my daughter Maria and her autism, how it challenged me, how it scared me, how I cried, how I laughed, how I got through it and came out the other side as a much, much better man, and grateful for her exactly as she is, exactly as she is. I'm grateful that she is the way she is now. A lot of people can't believe that. She is the sweetest, bright light of hope on the planet.
We were living beside a sports field, and as I would drive by, there would be kids out there playing t-ball or soccer ball, and watching them, I would ask myself, you know, is Sam going to be doing that next year? And I came back with the answer, no, he's not ready yet. And it's just continued. That answer's just continued. He's not doing it yet.
Everyone goes through the same kinds of feelings, and happiness is really just how well you are dealing. You say I am strong and I'd like to believe it, but nobody goes their whole life undefeated.
He's gorgeous. Look at him. He's pretty handsome. He's just perfect.
send me off just like a rocket, like a bottle rocket, like a bottle rocket. You lit me up, now I can't stop it. Just like a rocket, like a bottle rocket, a bottle rocket. So aim me at the moon and I'll blow to pieces like a big explosion for you to see. Can you see how I light up the sky? Can you see how I shine down on you? Could you use some of this in your life? I'll give it to you. Yeah, you send me up when you kiss me sweetly. Yeah, you kiss me sweetly, and that's all I need. But you know I mean, oh, to be a good thing. Yeah, to be a good thing. It's you and me, it's you and me. Can you see how I light up the sky? Can you see how I shine down on you? Could you use some of this in your life? I'll give it to you. The whole world is watching and waiting to see if I'm really for you and you're really for me. Could all be this easy? Just say you love me. Send me off just like a rocket, like a bottle rocket. Yeah, 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 yeah. Can you see how I light up the sky? Can you see how I shine down on you? Could you use some of this in your life? I'll give it to you. Ooh, ooh, oh. You send me off just like a rocket, like a bottle rocket, like a bottle rocket.